Victor Osimhen is the most likely striker signing for Manchester United this summer. United have made initial contact for Kenan Yildiz. United are considering a move for Sunderland midfielder Jobe Bellingham. More links with Frankie de Jong. INEOS and Amorim are not convinced by Rasmus Hojlund. Jadon Sancho's erratic form is making Chelsea hesitant about signing him. And a new name on Manchester United's radar for the striker position. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. And let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with all the transfer news. You can tell it's international break, and you know, I think this is the time, though, where clubs do start speaking to agents and maybe doing a few more kind of reports around transfers. But there's absolutely an insane amount of rumours and gossip going around at the moment, which is how I would kind of describe it. So one of the players we've been linked with over the last couple of days is Ekitike. So Manchester United have been closely monitoring Hugo Ekitike since 2022. Talks were held that summer. Hugo wanted to play with Cristiano Ronaldo. So Sam C, who's a decent source, was suggesting that Ekitike has been on United's radar for a couple of years now. But what you've got to factor into that is the fact that we now have new owners, new management structure, and all of that kind of stuff. So whether he would still continue being a target or not, obviously we've had a lot of reports over the last couple of days from Chris Wheeler and Florian Plettenberg, who are good sources linking us with Ekitike. But I do think he's going to be very, very expensive for us to kind of go for. And a lot of that will depend on, obviously, Champions League sales and stuff like that as well. However, Alex Crook from TalkSport said that on the rumours for Ekitike to United, said that Ekitike has been played down to media days. So, you know, not the most credible source, I wouldn't say, Alex Crook, but can be decent from time to time as well, suggesting that those reports have been played down for Ekitike to United. So we'll just have to wait for any more information regarding that. Keeping with strikers, Victor Osimhen is the most likely striker signing for Manchester United this summer. He will be available for the type of price United can afford, and his wage demands have dropped since last year. Now, that again came from Alex Crook. Alex Crook is a hitty-missy kind of reporter, so I would say initially take that with a pinch of salt. I do think, you know, £63 million is his release clause. That's plausible for United if we've you know, through player sales and bits as well. It's more his wages. Romano was saying that he doesn't want to take a pay cut and he wants around £350,000 a week, which is what we'd have to pay him to get the net income that he wants. And I would take Romano's word over Alex Crook's. But I do think, if I remember rightly, when he was talking about going to Chelsea, he was asking for like a lot more than potentially what he's on now. So that maybe could be what he's talking about, that he's not asking for the crazy money that he was last season. But I still think it would be an expensive outlay for us as well. Now, Alex Crook also had the following to say regarding Rasmus Hojlund. So I think he'll move on at the end of the season. There's interest from Italy. INEOS and Ruben Amorim are not necessarily convinced that he is the man to lead the line moving forward. There's interest from the likes of Napoli. It wouldn't surprise me if Osimhen comes in the opposite direction. So Alex Crook picking up on the reports that have been going out for the last few days, really, regarding you know, potentially Hojlund going to Napoli and us potentially going for Osimhen. But again, it goes back to the same kind of issue, wages, when it comes to Victor Osimhen. But Gazzetta dello Sport was saying that Napoli will try to secure a deal to sign Rasmus Hojlund this summer, but cannot afford to meet Man United's asking price of £50 million. So again, could that be some kind of make-wake deal regarding Osimhen? Or if Napoli sold Osimhen to somebody else, would they then have the funds to go for Hojlund? So there could be a little bit of a merry-go-round in terms of the striker. Personally, I still think there's a player in Hojlund. Yes, he's not had the best of seasons, maybe a loan, you know, or having him as a backup and a rotation option, I don't think is the worst idea. Now, another striker that we've been linked to today. So a new name on Manchester United's radar for the striker position is Mainz's Jonathan Burkardt, who's 24 years old. Now, that's the player that I haven't particularly watched personally. Doing some kind of research, though, looks like an interesting option. 24 years old, obviously plays for Mainz, valued at €25 million on transfer markets, under contract until 2027. looks pretty decent in terms of his stats. So top 95% for non-penalty goals, top 85 for progressive passes. Looks a really interesting option, but again, I'd want to do more of an eyeball test regarding him. 23 appearances, 16 goals, 3 assists so far this season. That would be somebody that's maybe more Graham Bailey's not the most credible source, right? So we'll say take that with a pinch of salt because he's a hitty-missy journalist. But I can see United going for more players like this, where they're kind of relatively unknown, under-the-radar type signings that would be well scouted, with like Christopher Vivel's footprint all over it with him being German and playing for obviously Mainz. That would be one that kind of I could potentially see that as being more realistic than like an Ekatike or someone like that for argument's sake. But I'd want to see a bit more credibility than Graham Bailey, being honest. But looks a decent option, but not one that I've watched loads. So watching his highlights, doing some research and stuff. But give us your opinions in the comments if you know more about him. Good option or not? Now, Manchester United have made initial contact for Kenan Yildiz. To date, there are no advanced talks with the likes of Man United, Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool, only gathering information and making initial contacts. However, should the opportunity arise, then all the big clubs in England are ready to make concrete moves for Yildiz. The player is valued at £75 million, so we'll have 2 of him. I don't think we've got the funds to compete with Liverpool and City. I don't know what the kind of report was suggesting that maybe Thiago Motta might be leaving Juventus or potentially getting sacked from Juventus, and that might make a decision for Yildiz to not want to stay there anymore as well. 19 years old, very good prospect, would fit all the mold of being young, up-and-coming, developmental and all that kind of stuff that we're looking for. We were linked with him actually in January when the reports were that Garnacho might be getting sold to either Chelsea or Napoli. I remember doing a few videos regarding him and doing some research and stuff. Would be like a left winger or an attacking midfield. I think he would play in that inside kind of left position if we were to kind of get him. Very highly regarded, very talented. Would I take him at United? Yes. Do I think we've got £75 million to pay for him? No. So I'm going to say take that with a pinch of salt for the time being, and especially if we're competing with, you know, City and Liverpool, Arsenal, who are all going to have plenty of funds available. Like Liverpool might be selling Darwin Núñez to the Saudi Pro League, for example. They might, so that's going to generate a bit of cash for them to kind of spend. And we are where we are. I mean, I don't think we're going to go anywhere near like £75 million transfers. Them's the mistakes that we've made in the past. And that's the mistakes I think that we're trying to avoid. As talented as the player is, and as good as he kind of looks. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that down below. Now, Manchester United have told Barcelona they're willing to pay €50 million for long-term target Frankie de Jong. That came from El Nacional, so Spanish kind of source. They're actually fairly decent, to be fair, suggesting that maybe we would be willing to pay €50 million for Frankie de Jong. I can't see that one happening either. I don't think he fits the profile of what we're looking for anymore. Maybe under Ten Hag, it could be possible, but as I mentioned in the video when we were linked with him the other day, he's starting to become a bit of a Wesley Sneijder, where we just continuously get linked with Frankie de Jong, and I don't think we're going to sign him, and his wages as well would be an absolute killer for us. So you know, I'm going to say take that one with a pinch of salt as well, but let me know what you think below. And Manchester, what was probably more realistic actually is this one. So Manchester United are one of several Premier League clubs considering a move for Sunderland midfielder Jobe Bellingham. Bellingham is 19, has long been touted to have world-class potential, and United are very interested in him. Now that came from Team Talk, and the report was suggesting that, you know, Chelsea, Tottenham, Brentford, Brighton, I think Forest were all kind of names linked with Jobe Bellingham. He is regarded as a really, really talented player. I live in the Northeast. I've got friends and family and stuff that are all Sunderland season ticket holders. They absolutely love Jobe Bellingham. I was having a chat with me with one of my friends the other day, and I was asking about Chris Rigg and Jobe Bellingham, and they were saying Jobe Bellingham's the one that's probably more ready to take the step up now, and Chris Rigg still needs some time to kind of develop. Very, very highly regarded. Would be a really interesting option, and that signing would be way more realistic, I think, for United in the direction that we want to go down than Frankie de Jong. If I was going to pick between the two, then I would kind of suggest that maybe Jobe Bellingham is one that would be more likely than Frankie de Jong, but that's just my opinion and my thoughts. But that's going off of all the reports around us not wanting to do big contracts for players at the wrong kind of age of their career, looking for young up and coming players, and Jobe Bellingham would kind of fit the box with that one. But give us your thoughts on that down below. Now let's go through some other news. So exit talk firstly. So Real Betis are keen to extend Antony's loan until the end of the 25-26 season, taking on a larger portion of his salary. A Champions League qualification could be a financially decisive factor. So Spanish reporter, fairly decent actually, saying that Real Betis are maybe trying to do another loan for Antony next season, paying a large portion of his salary. I think if he carries on his form the way that we might get a few more suitors for him. So in which case, if we can sell him permanently, that's way better for United in terms of finances and actually removing him entirely from the wage bill. But it gives you a bit of a backup option should that not materialise. I mean, why can't the Saudi Pro League come in for someone like Antony and give us an absolute fortune? That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? But we'll have to wait and see. It's an alternative option anyway. If he does go back there for another loan, they pay more of his wages. It's not ideal, but we're not in an ideal situation with Antony because of the contract that we've ran with him and given him, and the price that we paid for him, and etc. Now, in other exit news, so Jadon Sancho's erratic form is making Chelsea hesitant to retain him. Chelsea are considering ripping up their £25 million agreement with Manchester United for Jadon Sancho this summer. They would have to pay a significant fee to get out of the deal. Now, that came from Peter Hall, who also went on to say, though, that United are planning for next season without Sancho. They do not want him back. Should he return, INEOS would want to move him on quickly to raise funds for Amorim's squad overhaul. So Peter Hall kind of picking up a little bit what's being reported, where potentially there's still a possibility that Chelsea might terminate the obligation to buy at a cost. But then if that happens, Sancho's not really welcome back at United. They don't want him regardless. And he would look to being moved on if that was an outcome, although Romano was saying the other day doesn't think that that's likely. Rob Dawson from ESPN said, though, however, that Manchester United will let Ruben Amorim decide Jadon Sancho's fate in the unlikely event that he returns to Old Trafford this summer. And I suppose that's, we obviously need to take Amorim's opinion on that one as well. And then Romano was reiterating the following. So Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho are both expected to leave Manchester United this summer. So Romano saying, no, they're both expected to leave. So whether that would be those Sancho to Chelsea, or whether they're going to cough up some cash to terminate the obligation to buy, and then we still look to move him on anyway. We'll just have to wait and see how that kind of plays out. Well, I could see what if Chelsea buy him for 20 and then try to sell him on themselves as well. That could be, an option if they don't want to keep kind of Sancho, because it's going to be dead money to them if they just pay United 10 million or whatever the kind of the cancellation fee would be. That effectively they're just throwing money away, whereas if they maybe did something like that, that could be a possibility as well. But either way, it looks likely that both are going to be leaving in the summer. And let's go through some injury news. So Lenny Yoro is making swift progress in his recovery. Plan to get him back on grass. It says before international break, but I'm going to assume that means before the international break ends. Now, that came from Sully Says, who was actually quite reliable the other day regarding some inside information regarding United. And then the Manchester Evening News said the following on possible return dates from injury players. So Maguire is expected to be back after the international break. So is Lenny Yoro. Martinez is out, it says, until August. That's optimistic, I think. Kobe Mainoo could be back for the Forest game as well. Amad Diallo, they say, in May, although there were rumours that actually he's a little bit ahead of schedule, so we could potentially be seeing him back in the next few weeks, which will be brilliant. And then Aiden Heavens, still no update as of today at the time of recording this video regarding his injury. Bayender, Evans and Heaton are all unknown return dates as well. So it does look like, hopefully we're going to get a few players back after the international break as well, which will be good because we've got some big fixtures actually after the international break, and then we've obviously want to make a good run if we can and go and win that Europa League. But obviously the reports I was bringing you yesterday were regarding maybe some more youth getting an opportunity as well, which I wouldn't be dead against. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video on your way up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.